All right. I'd like to call to order the committee of the whole meeting, Monday, May 4th, 2020. Would the clerk call the roll, please?
Mayor Berman,
Here.
Trustee Gaffino,
Here.
Lowry,
Here.
Mr. Curtis,
Here.
Mr. Carroll,
Here.
Trustee Martinez,
Here.
Trustee Gately.
Here.
All right, our items for discussion. Mr. Bosco.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Both items on the COW agendas are basically about our summer events. The first one is about our fireworks. Currently, the fireworks show is due to be held on July 3rd for Independence Day. We have in our contract with Melrose Pyrotechnic, we have a rain date of July 4th. And if it should rain, then you have the option for an alternate date within 6 months. Unfortunately, the contract doesn't deal with cancellations outside of inclement weather. So we contacted Melrose Pyrotechnic, and what they're doing with municipalities is offering an addendum to the contract. This addendum would basically require us to pay half of the fee of the fireworks show, which is $12,500. If we do this more than 30 days before the event, they take that money as a deposit, and we move the date of the event anywhere within the next year. So we can hold it in October, December, we could even cancel this year's and reschedule it for July 3rd of next year's. And they would just take the $12,500 and use it as half payment of the show when we reschedule. So if we don't do the fireworks and we just want to cancel the contract outright, if we don't sign this addendum, the contract requires us to pay for all the materials and that they've incurred so far, which they're estimating at $15,000 to $20,000 since they've probably bought all the fireworks and put all the staff time into setting up the show. So basically what we're telling the board right now is there's a few options. What we're planning to do is bring an addendum to the contract back on the 18th of May, so 2 weeks from now, that would have the village pay $12,500 and then give us the flexibility to reschedule the event at a later time. The other options are to cancel and just pay the fee that we owe them and cancel outright, or to take the risk, keep it on July 3rd and don't do anything. And the only problem with that is if we can't, we still owe them the money for the show, even if we get the show. So I kind of want the board, I'm looking for some direction. If you're asking the staff, I think signing the addendum, the only risk to signing the addendum would be the event that the pyrotechnic company did. But by signing the addendum, you essentially get to pick a day in the next 365 days to redo the show. You're not losing any of the money because you're paying for half of the show up front. And in theory, if you wanted to cancel this year's show altogether, you would just use that money for next year's show. So there's actually the opportunity to cancel this year's show altogether and just reschedule for next year, and we would be only having to pay 50% next year.
Mark Gately here. I'm in favor of doing the money until next year. Your later suggestion of maybe just cancel this year and use the money for next year. That's what I would be in favor of.
I have a question for Kevin. Kevin, why can't we get out of this contract as an act of God?
Because the contract only addresses weather-related issues.
And we have no defense, no impossibility or anything like that we can rely on? Because my concern is if we wait until next year and sign an addendum, if this company signed up with 50 villages and this is all their revenue for the year, there's no guarantee that they're not going to go bankrupt between now and next year.
That's true, Trustee Carroll, but by that same regard, we technically owe them the $15,000 or $20,000 right now anyways if we cancel.
Well, but that's my question. I don't understand why we don't have better legal standing to contest the contract. It's not like we're doing this because we just want out of the contract. We're doing it because there's a national pandemic.
one of the issues, if we wanted to argue something like impossibility, which is an expert contract term, it's not a principle that's in the contract, it's outside of the contract principle. If we wanted to rely on that, we would be taking some risk because, if the world opens up on June 1st or on July 1st, something like that, or if it opens up for gatherings of, say, 500 or less or something like that, it would be, we wouldn't be assured of being able to argue that. So we would be taking risks if we wanted to try to rely on something like that.
It sounds to me like the addendum is the way to go.
I have a question. Would there be a way to still have a fireworks show? I mean, whether it's people, sit in a parking lot in their cars with their family. I'd really hate to cancel something like this. That could be, something that could lift people's spirits, remind us of our national unity, bring people together if we don't need to. I mean, would we be able to find a workaround within social distancing guidelines that the show could still go on?
So when we had the conversation internally, I mean, there are two things you can do. If you don't cancel the show outright, one of the things you can do is if you sign the addendum, we can later date, maybe in the early fall, if you didn't want to line it up necessarily with Independence Day, but you still wanted to celebrate it a few months later, we could do that. The other thing is we did talk about the current location. I mean, you'd have to probably find a different location because Riverfront Park, there's not a lot of parking there where you wouldn't be right on top of each other. It isn't a big open field that people can see from a long distance because of the tree lines. So you would have to probably find a different location to fire from in order to see it. There aren't a lot of viewing areas outside of the activity center or Route 25 once you get outside that park.
My thought is, Trustee Gaffino here, my thought is either agree with Mark Gately, move it to next year, or which is kind of tied in with item 2, North Aurora Days, maybe postpone it to the fall and see how things are working. I kind of agree with Laura as well. It's nice to have something like this, kind of bring some normalcy back to our community, and maybe move, like Steve said, maybe move the location, or people could sit in cars if that was required. But I think it's nice to have. I don't think July 4th would probably be the best time to do it, but come September, October, November, tying in with something, maybe a delayed event, do something like that.
The addendum seems to be the way to go. That gives us flexibility to do whatever we want.
I agree.
Don't lose our money. And the only downside is, as Mark Carroll said, that if they go out of business, and I mentioned that to Steve when we talked about it initially, that would be our risk for. But I think it may be one that we're willing to take because it does give us the flexibility that we could do this at any time within the next year or when we sign that.
Well, and once again, I just want to point out, I don't know how much of a risk it would actually be because technically, when we called Melrose, they said we technically owe them 15 or 20 if we cancel right now. So technically, that's actually cheaper.
Yep.
I'm fine with that. The addendum, Mark Gately.
Me too. Same here.
I'm fine with that too. Mike Lowry here.
So what I plan to do is I'd like to do the addendum, but I don't necessarily need to have a date right now. I mean, it would be hard for us to come up with a date to reschedule. What I'm going to go back to Melrose with is say, okay, we're going to sign the addendum, but can we work on selecting a date? And as of right now from the board, unless you're telling me that you just want to potentially cancel this year's and move the date to the 3rd of 2021.
Well, what's to prevent us from signing the addendum and not canceling it on the 3rd until we absolutely have to?
Exactly. That's one of the things we can do is we can sign the addendum right away. They just want notice before the 3rd. They said a month. They would like a month either way before the July 3rd. So we have 2 more board meetings. We have May 18th and we have June 1st. So
I would like to see us wait then and see if the stay-at-home order is lifted. If it is, I'm kind of with Laura, feel the same way Laura does. I mean, if people can wear masks down to the river, why not have the fireworks show?
I agree.
I think that is a possibility. Like I said, there's going to be a protocol established fairly soon. And that's exactly what is going to be addressing all the different measures that we need to keep in mind rather than closing down businesses, for a long period of time. And I do feel that the people need something out there, besides just staying at home. So even if we were able to manage some sort of event, that yes, it has to meet certain new criterias for our spectators or the public. I think it would be uplifting, for the whole community in a way.
So what I'll do is I'll go back with Kevin Drendel after this, and we'll look at, I mean, the addendum they gave us was a very generic, it was very small, couple paragraphs. What we can do is see if we can write something in that says that, if approved this addendum, that we have till X date to choose whether or not to do the July 3rd show without any issues. And then if we decide to cancel it, let's say a couple weeks before July 3rd, that we would have that option to move the date to a later date at that time.
I'm fine.
We need to make sure that we're in agreement that the date that we select has to be a date that that they can work with. So rather than put them into a situation but if we can say that, hey, we can come up with a mutual date during that period of time to do it, but that gives everybody a little comfort, I guess, or a little out.
Yeah, at this point, I think I have clear direction. I'll get the addendum ready, and we're still looking at July 3rd as a possibility, but we'll make sure that there's some flexibility that we can change the date as we get closer to the event.
Hey,
That sounds good.
Have you guys considered that area by Target, where they have that big parking lot?
Well, we don't have access to that, so
No?
We did that one year though. We shot them off on the village property, and we all sat in the Penny's Target parking lot. So it
but
was
we
an
didn't
option.
have any. We weren't.
What's that?
It wasn't a legitimate kind of thing. I mean, we didn't advertise that that's where we're gonna have people parking.
No, but I mean, we
Obviously,
had them shut off from the village lot there on.
I agree. But
Yeah, so I mean,
if we wanted to do it, we would. I would think we want to get approval from them, and maybe they give it. Who knows now? I mean, who knows?
Yeah, that's why my suggestion would be maybe perhaps issue a phone call to them. I mean, they have a pretty wide parking lot, all
Right.
these stores out
we shot
there.
it on the village 5 acres, and there was a lot of people there in the parking lot. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that would allow us to establish and respect certain protocols as far as social distancing, right? So I mean,
And
I don't know,
probably
just-
more
just-
people could see it from their house, which would be another encouraging thing where people would stay home and watch it versus down in the valley.
Well, Laura couldn't see it
At
from
the
her
river.
house.
No, but you're right. I understand not the whole community, but half anyway probably could, from Randall Road there. But versus down by the river, it's pretty hard to see them when you're out on Randall Road with the dip in the valley there.
And again, if
Well-
you get permission from the stores in that area, whoever owns that parking lot, maybe they would be willing to work with us on that. I mean, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is lift the spirit, So I mean, I think it would be something that we don't. It's worth a chance.
I agree.
Well, people aren't going to sit in their cars. They're going to get out of their cars. And,
They are.
but, yeah, it's a workable situation, I think. So, it's like anything else. You just got to plan it and organize it. That's all. and enforce it. Okay, sounds good. You got your, they still got time to think about it before it's actually here.
Yeah, I will work with Kevin on an addendum, and in the meantime, we'll think about the options for a different location if we were going to move it, and see what we can come up with.
Yeah, I think we need to think that through and design it and see how many people we could actually accommodate and the whole thing. So I think it's a great effort to do.
I mean, the parking lot at Target and JCPenney's is a great idea, but if it's a legitimate site that we're going to advertise and we need to get the permission, we have a long history with not being able to get permission for those parking lots. So we'll make an attempt. We'll try calling them again and see if we can get permission.
Yep. Okay. How about the next item?
Next item is an update on North Aurora Days. And so we're kind of in the same situation with North Aurora Days as we are with the fireworks. We have our annual festival coming up the 7th, 8th, and 9th, the first full weekend of first Friday of August. And as everyone probably is aware, the North Aurora Days Committee, Mark, myself, Bill, other people that are highly involved, we've been monitoring COVID-19 and how it's affecting summer festivals and kind of monitoring all these other situations here. We're getting to the point where we were planning to reassess in early May, and here we are. The reason May is important is because a lot of stuff is on hold right now. We haven't signed a lot of contracts. We've purposely been holding, not signing anything really because we don't want to commit to anything. So having about 2 months out is about as much time as we absolutely would need to try some assemblage of some things together. Because right now we don't have things put together. So right now the big thing is this. These are the concerns we have. We have the stay-at-home order till May 30th, and then after that, you have 2 months before the event. We don't know if there's going to be any social distancing guidelines in place at that time, and if there are, exactly how necessarily we can enforce them. Our concerns are the safety for the public. We're obviously concerned that we won't be able to get volunteers who will actually want to work the event if COVID-19 is still going around. We're concerned that our staff, including the entire police department that's in the crowd, is susceptible to the potential of actually contracting it and hurting our critical operations for the village. Because this is a village event, mind you, not like in other villages where they have committees that run these. This is run by the village. And then we have the issue of, whether the public will feel comfortable of attending or in the funding. And that's the other issue too, is right now we put out our sponsorships before this really broke. And to my knowledge, and Bill can jump in, I don't think we've received one sponsorship, nor I'm not sure if the village wants to be taking sponsorship from businesses right now either at this point. And we're at a point where North Aurora Days is usually out of pocket to the village about $50,000. We make up that revenue, almost all of it. Some years we're ahead, some years we're behind, but we make most of that back through sponsorships. So if we don't receive any or take any sponsorships from businesses that offer them, you're talking about running an event for roughly $50,000 too. So those are things to think about. We're not at the point where we have to make a decision on North Aurora Days. We have until probably the June 1st meeting. But I just wanted to update the board on basically that's where we're at, is whether or not we should start considering the options. And really there's a ton of options, but the three main ones that we keep coming up with are cancel the event this year, just hold into June 1st, see what happens. And if we keep going forward. And then the other one is you can cancel it. It doesn't have to be tonight, but we can cancel it in a couple weeks. And if we cancel it, we can always decide to just do a smaller event later in the year. And I think that's what Trustee Gaffino was alluding to with the fireworks. There's nothing that says that if we have to cancel the August event that we can't do a one-day event or something in September, October, even with fireworks. Because right now we're under contract for fireworks for North Aurora Days too. So These are just things that I wanted to bring up, let the board know that we've been going through all of this, and we're coming up to the point where we really need to make a decision. And I'd be happy to take any feedback from the board on thoughts of having a festival at this point.
Mark, what do you think? Gafino.
Well, I'm a big proponent of having it, but, like Steve mentioned, if nobody shows up, so if the issues are still out there, right now I'm leaning towards postponing it. Either A, wait till June and see what other communities are doing. I know some have already canceled their events, or move into some fall event like we mentioned, Oktoberfest. Have it at the village, the park there behind Village Hall. Have the fireworks. If things are loosened up and opened up, I guess by then, I'm sure there'll still be some criteria we'd have to follow, but I hate to not have something. I think the residents look for this, and I think it's a nice, nice, like I said, nice get together, nice way to celebrate North Aurora. So I'm a little reserved about August. I don't know. I know Governor Pritzker mentioned, no festivals in the summer. So if we really follow that lead, we wouldn't have anything. So, but I like to have something, just in my opinion, as a resident, be cool to have something in the fall. We always mention the park, behind Village Hall, and maybe someday that'll end up being where North Aurora Days is happening. So it'd be a nice trial run, great setting down there. So that's just my thought. I'm interested in hearing what the other board members say as well. So
I think I don't think we should make it right now. I mean, if we've got a month, let's let the month play out. See what's happening in the states that are opening up. Let's get more data and take it from there.
Yeah, I think we can wait. Procrastination isn't so bad.
So,
But I think
Michael-
your idea, if we do decide to cancel, well, I guess it'd be worthwhile to try to lay some plans and for something at a different time, possibly in the fall, whatever. But obviously, the weather is not going to be like it is. We're not going to have the outside crowd that we have. You're certainly not going to. We're not going to go into any contracts for any bands or anything anyway. So
I don't know. I've been at those Oktoberfest. They're pretty crowded.
Yeah.
So no, I'm fine with waiting too.
I think the fall's a good idea myself. Early October might be very nice weather. Might be a good turnout if this virus thing is subsided by then.
right.
Or if we don't see a second wave, where we're
Right.
going to see
Well,
you.
that's right.
Right.
Exactly. Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. Right.
Yeah, I'm fine waiting the June 1st, or like I said, see what other communities are doing. See.
Yeah, I think June 1st would be, it would probably be a good time because it gives us, if we still move forward in June 1st, we might have to retract some of what we would normally have in North Aurora Days. I know this year, Mark will tell you, one of the thoughts we've had is the run and whether or not we're going to be able to have a run on short notice like that, because runners usually need time. You need time to actually organize that event. There's some concerns too with, we still have to contact the property owner, make sure they're comfortable still having a festival in their private parking lot. Moose Heart holds events. We have to make sure Moose Heart's okay. By doing June 1st, it gives us a little flexibility of listening, seeing what's going on out there. At that point, I'll bring it back to the committee of the whole, and we can make a decision. And Mark said, I mean, it really wouldn't be hard if no one here, I think, wants to cancel event from the community. We want the community to have the event. I think if the board decided to cancel it, we would definitely be able to come up with something by fall or winter. If everything with COVID allowed us to come up with something, I think we'd be able to come up with something, for the community at that time. So June 1st, so bring it back on June 1st, kind of reassess. The other thing too that June 1st gives me time is, I know I'm expecting a phone call from the Mothers Club tomorrow. I know that we're in contact with the Lions Club as well. I don't know exactly what their concerns are, but I know there are concerns because they do run the beer tent and everything at the festival. So they are a major portion of the volunteers. So we'll definitely be in contact with them as well.
All right.
Sounds good.
I'm fine with
Any other
that.
comments? All right. No other comments? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Carol.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. We're adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
all.
Good night.
Have a good
Stay
evening.
safe.
Stay safe. Stay safe.
Right.